Today I want to share with you how you can stick to your health goals, be healthier overall with an unsupportive family. Part 1. If you're new to my channel, I'm Savannah. I'm a health and body image coach, and I help women feel more confident in their body and redefine what health success looks like for them through mindset training. And if you are already subscribed to my channel, welcome back. So today I'm going to share with you 4 tips on how to be more successful in your health journey, even if you have unsupportive family members, unsupportive friends, or coworkers that maybe aren't on the same path as you. I'm going to share with you those tips, and then if you want to, you can check out part 2 and have some more tips added into that. So before I get into the nitty-gritty tips that I can share with you, I want to give you some foundational tips for you to utilize as you're getting started or continuing your health journey with maybe, some unsupportive people around you, or maybe not necessarily unsupportive, but they're not really prioritizing that right now. That is pretty typical, pretty normal to happen, where you may be feeling super ready to make changes in your lifestyle and just want to feel better overall, start prioritizing health. And not everyone is going to be in that same mindset as you, and this shouldn't factor your decision and you wanting to make those changes. You shouldn't allow it to completely dictate your decision for your overall health in your life. But obviously it does affect you, and depending on if you live with these people, you're seeing them every day, you're around them all the time, it can really impact your success, because the more we're surrounded by temptation and trying to make change in the same or old environment that we've been a part of for a while, it can be really challenging. So I want to make sure I give you foundational tips for you to start thinking about before we get into some of the more detail-oriented type tips, and that is what all of part 1 is going to be all about. So before anything else, you have to be super clear on why you're doing this, and you'll hear me say it a lot. I encourage women, clients, whoever listens to my content, I encourage people to go way further and more in depth on why they want to start making lifestyle changes right now. And I want you to move past the whole, I need to lose weight, or my doctor told me I need to lose weight, or I'm not the same size as I used to be. Those are all great reasons to get you started, but just because they're the reasons that get you started does not mean the work ends there. We need to take it a step further. We need to take it deeper than that and really understand why it's important to us long term to make these changes. Because if you are only focused on the physical outcomes or the weight loss, you're setting yourself up for failure. And I go way more in depth about all of these reasons in my previous videos. So if you want to check out those other videos where I talk more about this and the mindset component behind it, you can definitely check those out. But we need to take it deeper and be emotionally attached to that why. So this is just an example, but let's say you want to start making lifestyle changes because you want to be healthier, but more so because you want to lose 20 pounds that you've put on over, a period of time. That's a great reason to get started, but how can we take this further? Who does it impact outside of you if you start to prioritize your health? Not just to lose weight, but if you start eating healthier, you start exercising more, who does it impact besides yourself? Well, maybe you have 2 younger kids that you want to be able to be healthier for, so that you have energy to play with them and spend time with them, and you want to be an example for them, and you don't want them to run into these same issues when they're older of dealing with health and struggling with their weight or their body image or just their habits in general. You don't want them to have that same struggle that you're having. That's a really great deep why to stick to the course of wanting to make lifestyle changes. So that is just an example, but taking it a step further, really giving yourself the space and time to ask yourself why it's so important to you, and making sure that you're reminding yourself of that on a daily basis, because the more attached and reminded you can be of that deeper meaning and that why, the more likely you're going to, again, stick to it. We make decisions based off our emotions. So if you're feeling those emotions tied with why you're doing what you're doing regularly, it's going to be so much easier for you to stay disciplined when you don't feel like it. And when you compare it to maybe previous times where you've tried to improve your habits and your health, but you are doing it for reasons such as to lose weight, Obviously, those are not going to make us feel super emotional all the time to help us stay disciplined. We're gonna it'll maybe work a couple times, but then there are gonna be other times where we're gonna say, screw it, like I don't care, because it's a physical thing. Like it's an outwardly thing rather than an inward thing to something that you're super connected with. So that's the first thing, is to get super clear on why you're wanting to make these lifestyle changes in the first place. Number 2 is you need to communicate that. So once you've made the time to do that groundwork and understand yourself and your decisions and why you want to do this, it's time to communicate those things. So if you are living in a household with other family members who maybe are not on that same path as you right now, it's important to share those deeper things with them, because if they understand it further of why this is important to you, they're going to take you more seriously, as opposed to if you just are always complaining about your weight or saying you need to lose weight and do all these things. Not all the time, but a lot of times if we're complaining those things to our families, their instant reaction is to say things like, oh, you don't need to lose weight, like you look great. Their instant reaction is to pick us up from us feeling down about our weight or our physical appearance. So they're not as connected with that as well. But if you share with them the deeper meaning of like why you're doing something, why it's so important to you, maybe you have a long-term end goal of wanting to be at all of your grandchildren's weddings. That's like something really far in the future, but it's super important to you, and you start to communicate those things with your family members or your household and say why it is important to you, and that your decision to make better choices are directly correlated to that. They're gonna understand it a little bit more, and they're gonna want to show their support a little bit more. And I'm not saying that every situation is perfect and that, everything's always gonna go as we want it to, but when you can start to communicate those things, it is going to be, an added in layer of helping you succeed and stay consistent. And that goes for if you're around friends, if you're around coworkers, that can be a little bit different because you may not be on that like deeper connected level with them, but you don't have to explain yourself to your coworkers. And I'll get a little bit more into those types of situations here in a second, and even into part 2, but communicating it and being super clear on why it's important to you, and not just going over it really quickly with them, like sit down with them and have a conversation with them and be serious and make a point of saying how important it is to you. Number 3, this actually was number 4, but I'm switching it to number 3 because I think it can go kind of hand in hand with communicating. Ask them to be a part of it and help hold you accountable or support you. And I don't mean this in a way of asking them to make lifestyle changes with you, because that's not always going to work. People are not on the same journey as you, and they're not in the same mindset as you are. They may get to that point eventually with you staying consistent with it and them seeing the change that you can make. So that's also, I didn't mean to point that one out, but that's also a great factor of you sticking to things and staying disciplined for yourself can be motivating for them in the future if they see you staying with it over a consistent period of time. So that can also be a great way to stay consistent, is knowing that if you continue to show up for yourself and be that change that you want to see in them, they're much more likely to start making those changes over time by just seeing you be that example. But that's not what I meant with asking them to hold you accountable. So what I mean by this is when you communicate why it's important to you and you're sitting them down and really asking them for their support, it's having them hold themselves to a higher standard around you, because they not only understand why it's important to you, but now you have asked them to be in an extra layer of accountability. And what that can mean is just them not necessarily like pointing out the things that you're doing wrong, but if you ask them to make sure that you get in a workout when you get home from work or something like that, and that's just an example, they're going to be much more likely to bring it up and mention it to you if you not only communicate why it's important to you, but you ask them to hold you accountable to it. Now, this isn't going to be the same as having like an accountability buddy who's like on the same path as you. That is definitely a great layer to add in for your journey, but we're talking about being around people that maybe are not on that same path as you. But when you ask them to support you in that way, they're much more likely to take you seriously, because you're not only communicating to them why it's important, but you're asking them to kind of not necessarily like take it on, like, hey, like this is important to me. So therefore I'm asking that it has this level of importance to you, to the point where you're making sure like you're checking in with me and saying things to me if I'm not holding myself to that standard. So that's another great way to get an unsupportive family, or a family members that aren't necessarily on board with doing everything. It helps them understand that their actions impact you. So they don't necessarily have to start eating the way you do or exercising as much as you're exercising, but it helps them be more aware of their actions. So maybe they won't eat the dessert around you if they can help it, or maybe they'll encourage you to go for a walk, or maybe they'll even say, hey, let's go on a walk. So you never know what it could lead to when you put it back on them to have this level of support for you and your success. The last tip that I want to go over today in part 1 is don't believe that this has to be like all or nothing in order to exceed. So like I said in the beginning, I help people redefine what health success looks like to them. So you have to be able to let go of maybe what health success has looked like for you in the past, because a lot of the times with fitness industries and like diet companies, they're going to market to you in a way that makes it look like you can only be successful in one way. And a lot of the times that has to do with weight, has to do with physical appearance. And obviously, if you've taken it a step further to get really clear on why it's important to you beyond all of that, then you can start to redefine what success looks like for you, because you have taken it further than that surface level motive for wanting to get started in the first place. So knowing that, success looks different for every single individual in their health journey, you have to start asking yourself things like, okay, I want to make sure I'm exercising 5 days a week. Well, why do I want to exercise 5 days a week? Is it getting me closer to the thing that's really, really important to me on that deeper level? What does exercising 5 days a week look like? Is it mean strength training a couple days a week and going for 30-minute walks the rest of the days? You need to get clear on those things and understand what success looks like for you, and not what success looks like for the fitness influencer that you see on TikTok or Instagram. You're completely different from them. You may be in a completely different season of life. Your schedules may be super different. Your priorities are going to be different. So you have to be willing to make sure that success, you're clear on what that looks like, and you're okay with pivoting and giving yourself grace, because we know that life is going to be full of obstacles. That is guaranteed. We are not in control of what outside life is going to throw at us. We are only in control of our actions, our behaviors, our mindset around that. So you getting clear on that, being okay with that, and adjusting as you go, and just understanding if things don't go as planned, whether it's the way you eat that week or the way you exercise that week or whatever your goals are, if things don't go as planned, did you still do some of the things that you asked yourself to do? Because that's still progress, and you have to be okay with saying that not all progress looks the same as it does every single week or on a day-to-day basis, on a month-to-month basis. We just need to focus on the progress that you are making on a short-term basis, because that adds up. It doesn't have to be this perfect thing for a straight 30 days or straight 60 days, because it's not going to be perfect. We already know that. So the more clear that you can get on, as long as I'm making progress in the way that is most important to me on a consistent basis, I'm okay. I'm doing okay. If we go out to eat one night that wasn't as planned, but maybe it meant like you got more family time and you guys were able to make some memories and be present and in the moment, you understanding that that's okay, defining that for yourself of what success looks like, but how do you want to feel on a regular basis with your life. So the 4 tips, just to go over them one more time, is you need to be clear on why you're doing this, what's most important to you, being able to communicate that with the people that you're around the most, asking them to support you and hold you accountable, and don't believe that it has to be all or nothing in order to succeed, to achieve your goals. So those are the 4 tips that I wanted to share with you today. Those are definitely going to be like more of the foundational tips. I do plan to share with you in part 2, so make sure to go check part 2 to get the rest of the tips that I want to share with you beyond this foundational level. I hope that this was helpful. Again, if you're not already subscribed to my channel, be sure to subscribe, and I will make sure to leave my social links below. If you are looking for a little bit more support in your health journey, I have a free 60-minute masterclass teaching you the framework that I teach in my program, basically allowing you to redefine what health success looks like for you and create a plan that is individualized to you. I share those steps with you in that masterclass. I also share with you the science behind self-sabotage so that you can really understand and be fully aware of the habits and decisions that we make on a day-to-day basis and how it impacts you. And if you also are looking for more support, community, I have a free Facebook community called the Worthy Women Community, which I will link below. Please join us. We are meeting once a month, and it's just a space to feel that connection with other women who are really wanting to, again, redefine what health success looks like for them, feel confident in their bodies right now, and really build a lifestyle off of self-love and being able to just heal your relationship with your body and have a very strong foundation moving forward. So go ahead and check out all of those links, whichever you want to check out, and be sure to check out part 2 if you want more tips on how to be healthy with an unsupportive family. Thanks for watching.